Okay, hello and welcome. It must be Wednesday because I am here again on What's New, What's Next with AAC. This is on our Speak Pros main page, which is the app that is created by Cognition. We are so very excited to welcome Marina Vaserman today. She is an absolute leader in the space of pairing together technology, disability awareness, disability education, and really moving people forward in life. So, welcome, Marina. Let's bring her on. Okay, hello and welcome. It must be Wednesday. Hello, good morning.
Well, good morning.
All right, so glad that you could join us. And you are in sunny California, is that correct?
Yes, yes, sunny California up in Northern California.
Oh, beautiful. What's the weather like now?
It's stunning.
I love that. I'm in Arizona, so it's hot, hot, hot. So we just want
Yeah.
to hear you have like cool breezes and it's under, 95. That'd be amazing.
Yes, that's where we are. You should come visit.
I will someday. Well, thank you so much for joining us. What I would love to do is share your amazing story, Marina, of where you have gone in your life in terms of your career and then how you have brought that into an amazing offering touching so many families and communities. So let's start with who you are and how you got to where you're, what you're doing.
Sure, absolutely. So I am absolutely nothing if not a lifelong learner. I will start with that. I think I've been incredibly lucky with the support in my life, both personally and professionally, to be able to really go forward in the service of youth and families in our community. A lot of my work formally and practically has been around education and mental health and a little bit later so in neuroscience. But the tie into a lot of that for me has been around the social work component of my background. It really is the heart of everything that I do and attempt to be a part of. The idea and concept of co-creating and solving big challenges in the world with students and with self-advocates has been very much a big part of my career and my career path over the years. I honestly spent a lot of time focusing on creating optimal learning environments and what that looks like for students in the educational sector and in home-based environments as well. It's really beautiful when the idea and concept of both dignity and support are sort of the guiding principles in education. So my entire career, I've asked really hard, sort of uncomfortable conversations to shape and mold what's next and where I'm going in my professional trajectory. So a lot of how do we get our students' voices in front and center of public discourse, and how do we make sure that our children know what they do matter in the world? Really interested always in what makes meaningful experiences for folks who are administrators in education. And I think the biggest piece that sort of shaped my professional development over the years is actively seeking out dissenting viewpoints and being really open-minded to what other people are thinking and what that looks like in this space.
That's fascinating. So when I look at you and your history and your resume, you are putting together education and then also nonprofit work. And in with many of the leaders that I've spoken with, most people don't have deep knowledge and experience with nonprofit. So can you tell us a little bit about the journey to opening and creating Open Minds?
Yeah, absolutely. Nonprofit was sort of a no-brainer in terms of what we were looking to do. We're looking at social impact and the accessibility of that. So when we think about creating a place that is for the community, brought together by the community, it very much was something at the heart of everything we do, putting together and coming up with a space. And for us, this is a K-12 educational space that is inclusive and forward thinking and really attempts to be a model for other places to make inclusion possible and even desirable as sort of the prime model and way to go and move forward. So nonprofit has been a big role and a big part of what I do. I love starting new endeavors and nonprofits in particular because of the community and social impact.
That's fantastic. Now, when I met you just a couple of weeks ago, I was just fascinated with all of your forward thinking in terms of working with companies that are on that cutting edge of technology. And you are located in Silicon Valley area, is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, as going back a step, creating a school, a
Sure.
freestanding school is one huge feat, right? Bringing together teachers, and then you also have therapists and providing all different types of services, but then also reaching out and connecting to the community. And that is how I got introduced to you, is through your connection with Andreas Forslund, who is the CEO and co-founder of Cognition, where we're doing a lot of brain-computer interface, AR, VR, all of that. So tell me about how you brought those two worlds together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've been in the R&D space for quite a long time now. So it's been really great to see a hub in Silicon Valley at Open Mind, where there's so much going on that's new around the world. All over the place, people are designing and creating, and having a central place where folks are coming, usually before it's ever public, before it's on the market, before anything is actually available. They're looking for really a place to go and trial some of this and think through a lot of it. And so we've evolved sort of into this incubator of really, really interesting innovations to explore accessibility within the K-12 ed space. Advances in technology, I mean, they've opened new opportunities for so long, particularly for many of our students to be able to access grade level content and to be able to participate in inclusive-based programming. So it needs to be available, but I think the component that's really interesting to me is more than available, it needs to be systematically implemented and integrated into settings with integrity. And so really that encouraging component of developers and engineers to work hand in hand and side by side with students and with self-advocates, and also with educators to be able to think through, how do we do this and how do we do it in a meaningful way that doesn't just present a product, but actually sticks and makes long-lasting impact, has been really, really big. We have a really wide range of students, and so always interesting to sort of get a wide spectrum of responses to various products out there. The usability and the application of the product development, and also I think a big role we've done is the dissemination of that information has been really interesting. So if we look at just a couple of the really recent projects we've done, we were contacted by an organization out of Moscow, and they do VR and virtual reality. I know that gamification came up in one of your previous interviews, so I wanted to make sure I touched on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so much happening in the gamification space, I think, from a communication standpoint, and then the other piece is really from a skill acquisition-based standpoint too. And so their concept in using VR and what that looks like for our students has been really, really interesting. And then, so much has changed with the landscape of distance learning. And so we have had to really think about, what do we do and what's innovative in remote learning? We have students who need to take biology labs and chem labs and can't go into a physical school location particularly to do it, or struggling with the motoric piece. So we've teamed up with a company in Colombia, and in Colombia they're working on putting together an online-based platform that looks at breaking down some of these barriers for labs. So that's what leading up to this talk, though, I will say a lot of our students are saying, oh yeah, so what should we be doing out there with Speak Pros? What can we do? What Cognition's up to? And I said, okay, yeah, it's on my mind too.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's jump into the two hot questions right now, which is, what's new in your space as it relates to AAC?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of that was touched on with looking at, what's happening in VR and what's happening with some of the other places around the world. I think the biggest thing is that we've launched Silicon Valley Social Innovation Lab, which is really looking at putting together the combination of students and self-advocates alongside with those who are creating product design and development, and really saying, from the very beginning, can we be in a place where we come together and we co-create and we co-design, and we really are looking at the leaders being that collaborative effort between professionals and self-advocates. And I think that's been the biggest piece. We have launched a internship, a research assistant internship lab that looks at teaching research and research design to high school students, both at Open Mind and neighboring high schools. And so we're saying, let's really think about becoming experts in the research field. How do we get your voices out there? How do we really start to move the trends in that particular direction? I think that's been a lot of our focus and what's new here, particularly around assistive tech.
I love that. And I love that you're doing it both ways, working with the companies that are already established, but then also working with our future leaders. So that's incredible. All right. What do you think, your personal opinion, what is your vision on what's going to be next in the AAC area?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would split this into two parts. What I imagine is going to be next with the trends we're seeing, and then what I hope in terms of just a dream world will be next in the future as well. I think first and foremost, undoubtedly, things such as virtual reality and augmented reality, artificial intelligence, computer brain interface,
I love it.
neurosensors, all of that is going to continue to stay front and center. And iterations will continue to really impact education, I think, as a whole. We're seeing right now VR being applied in really interesting ways. It was recently used to have someone going through the grieving process be able to visit a loved one who had passed away. I think the therapeutic interventions and trauma implications of being able to do some of that work. I also think about it as it relates to the educational sector. Can you sit in the comfort of your home on your couch and visit a really busy public school and sit in on a classroom? What does that feel like? And so I think that's interesting. I think about AI and really daily living skills and self-help skills and moving youth and those who are, stroke survivors in recovery or other individuals, elderly, to be able to move from the dependency of another caretaker or a human into something that's more automated. I think about the implications around vulnerable youth and safety and what that can bring big time. And then I'm going to cast my bet on CBI. And I'm going to go on a whim and I'm going to say that I think that this is going to be the catalyst potentially for change in what I'm hoping to see in systemic change in the educational sector. I think that imagining an individual who might be non-speaking, sitting in a classroom, thinking a thought and having it appear on a monitor during a literature discussion or a math computation assignment or interacting meaningfully with a peer. I think all of that is going to hopefully, ideally, get to a place where, I'm going to say it, I go to consult on a public school campus and I no longer see portables and bungalows in the back of that public school of self-contained classrooms. And I think to get there and to do that, a few things need to happen. And I was hoping to, in our last couple minutes, quote a self-advocate in sharing their perspective in terms of what they're hoping to see come out of the work we're doing and in the community. And that is, those who want to help people with disabilities have to listen to what self-advocates are saying. Check with us before starting a project and at every point in the process. And the last piece I wanted to highlight also that came from that was research must be collaborative, not wholly based on self-advocates or professionals. It takes real trust to get that balance right.
Absolutely. You are an amazing connection between technology, education, disabilities, and those are all just huge areas. And in order to use words like accessibility and independent living, we need to be able to speak the same language across all of these different areas. You brought up a number of acronyms, and I just wanted to expand on these for those of us like myself. When I first started working with cognition, I was like, what is that? So AI, artificial intelligence, AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality, BCI, brain-computer interface, just amazing, ML, machine learning. And the most important piece here that I've heard in your messaging is presume competence. I really believe that when we give people the tools, they are going to be able to access the world. And it's so grateful to you, Marina, and everything you're doing. I don't know if you can see the chats, but I'm going to bring up a couple of your biggest supporters, Lisa Lacey. So Marina Vaserman, the head of Open Mind Schools, continues to challenge and push my thinking around educational access. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. So we have educational professionals, how do we get them there? And it's with all of the amazing connections that you're doing and your open-mindedness and forward thinking. So thank you so much, Marina. I am personally looking forward to working with you and collaborating with you with the Speak Pros app with Open Minds. And I am so happy that you were able to join us today and share your story.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.
You too. Take care.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. And here we go, bring this one up. Yay. I love when technology works. One more time. Okay, I want to thank you for joining us and let you know that today's version of AAC What's New, What's Next Facebook Live chat was brought to you by the SpeakPros app, offering an intuitive interface that allows people to express themselves using swipes, taps, and eye tracking technology. You can find out more at speakpros.com or contact me directly for a demo and to get professional access to SpeakPros Pro. Thanks for joining us and see you next week.